Hare Krishna. Today we are going to study the verse number 15 of chapter number 6 of Bhagwat Gita as it is, and the name of this chapter is Dhyan Yoga or meditation. In this verse, Sri Bhagavan is explaining the result of practicing Dhyan Yoga. From verse number 10, Krishna has explained the process of Dhyan Yoga and how it should be done by a yogi. We came to know that a yogi should go to a secluded place, and that too all alone, and the place should be a sacred place. Reaching to such a place in forest, the yogi should make a asan of kusha grass, and on top of it he should lay deer skin and then cover it with a soft cotton cloth. Here deer skin is specially mentioned because deer skin has some chemicals which is repellent for snakes, scorpions and other reptiles. This arrangement is made by Krishna so that the Dhyan yogi should not feel afraid sitting in the forest. It is mentioned that the yogi needs to be a brahmachari, and when he sits on the kusha asan, he should be sitting with his head, neck and body all erect in one line, absolutely straight, and then looking at the tip of the nose. This way, a yogi has to sit and concentrate with full attention to see the Vishnu form Paramatma who resides in his heart. The yogi should strictly follow celibacy, and for this reason he is to go to forest. He should not think, speak or indulge in sex life. If he is married, then he has to leave his wife also, in case he wants to practice Dhyan Yoga. When one follows all these rules and regulations, then one is able to meditate on the Supreme Lord's Vishnu Roop. Now, when one follows such strict rules, what does he get in return? This is explained in today's verse. In today's world, return gift is very much in fashion. This tradition has its origin from Sri Bhagavan. Know and understand today's verse. Let us recite the verse number 15 and then we will read the Anvay and purport given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Prabhupada. Jannevam sadatmanam yogi niyat manasaha Shantim nirvād paramam mat sansthaṁ adhigacchati yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyat manasah shantim nirvād paramam mat sansthaṁ adhigacchati yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyat manasah Shantim nirvād paramam mat sansthaṁ adhigacchati. In this verse, Krishna says that by practicing control of the body, mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist attains to the kingdom of God, that is, the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. Yunjannevam sad atmanam yogi niyat manasah shantim nirvād paramam mat santham adhigacchati. Let us read the Anvay given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai. Yunjan, engaging in yoga. Evam, thus according to the previously mentioned process. Sada, always. Atmanam, the mind. Yogi, the yogi. Niyat manasaha, of controlled mind. Shantim, peace. Nirvan paramam, complete cessation of material existence. Mat sanstham, my form of Nirvishesh Brahma. Adhigacchati, attains. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna is clearly saying that one who constantly keeps the mind absorbed in Krishna through yoga by following this process, that yogi whose mind is controlled can become situated in the splendor of the absolute Krishna and attain peace in the form of nirvana, which means the complete cessation of material existence. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the yogis whose minds are beyond thoughts of sense objects and who are self-controlled absorb their mind in Krishna through the practice of Dhyan Yoga and attain nirvana, becoming firmly situated in the Brahma Jyoti, that is, the Nirvishesh Brahma. They attain peace and complete liberation from bondage to the material world. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that in this verse, Sri Bhagwan is explaining the result of practicing Dhyan Yoga. Tashvar Upanishad states, Tam ev vidit vati mrityum eti. It means that by practicing of yoga, having attained the knowledge of Bhagavan. Having attained the knowledge of Bhagavan means Bhagavan is Nandanandan Yashoda Nandan and his localized form is the Vishnu Roop Paramatma, which resides in every living entity's heart, and then pervading Bhagavan in the form of his divine effulgence, which is known as Nirvishesh Brahma. So anyone who has attained this knowledge beyond the cycle of birth and death in the form of material existence, and definitely he reaches to the Param Dham. Param Dham is Golok Vrindavan Dham. But for the yogis, the yogis, those who have the knowledge of the impersonal feature of Bhagavan, that is, the transcendental divine effulgence of Bhagavan, they attain Nirvishesh Brahm, that is the featureless absolute, that is the Brahma Jyoti. So the yogis, they attain Brahma Jyoti, the Nirvishesh Brahma, and they cross over the cycle of birth and death in the form of material existence. Reading the Anvay given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we have understood that how does a yogi get complete peace and liberation from the bondage of this material world. And this is called Nirvana. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Now let us read the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai. Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he says that the ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. It is to enable the stopping of the material existence. Prabhupada further says that one who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi according to Bhagwat Gita. Prabhupada very clearly says that anyone who aspires for improvement in health and material perfection is not a yogi at all according to Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada says that nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which means Srila Prabhupada says that after the cessation of the material existence, one does not enter the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. To understand in simple words, after the death of the present body, no one enters into nothingness or void. It is only a myth. Prabhupada says that some people feel we come from nothingness, that is from shunya or zero, and we go into shunya. That is just a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. So Prabhupada has made it very clear to us that yoga practice is not to give us material well-being like good health or a disease-free body or even elongated life. Rather, it is meant to give freedom from the material existence and enter into the spiritual world. This is called to attain nirvana. Further, Prabhupada says that the explanation about the spiritual world is given in the chapter number 15 of Bhagwat Gita in verse number 6. Na tad bhasyata suryo na shashanko na pavakah yat gatva na nivartante tat dham paramam mama. Na tad bhasyata suryo na shashanko na pavakah yat gatva na nivartante tat dham paramam mama. The Supreme Lord, he says that the abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. And one who reaches it never returns to this material world. This is the explanation given to us by Supreme Lord himself about the supreme abode of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, which is known as Golok Vrindavan Dham. I am sure now we do not have any doubt and we will not get confused that after the cessation of this material body, anyone goes to nothingness, because now we have come to know that the spiritual world is self-illumined. No sun, no moon or electricity is required to illumine the Supreme Lord's supreme abode, Golok Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada says that this material world is also Bhagwan's Dham. But the only difference between this world and the spiritual world is this, that the material world is illumined with the light of sun and the spiritual world is self-illumined. There, everything has its own effulgence, just the same way as sun is self-illumined. In the spiritual kingdom, book has its own light, trees have their own light, cows have their own light, rivers, lakes, flowers have their own light. Everything has its own divine light. Srila Prabhupada says that in the spiritual kingdom, there is sun and moon both. But the sun and moon are not there to give light to Golok Vrindavan Dham. Rather, sun and moon enable the divine pastimes of Krishna. This is the description of the spiritual kingdom where everything is shining bright with its own light. So now the doubt is completely clear that after the end of this material body, one goes to the void or nothingness. The concept of void is a myth. And the yogis, after practicing the process of yoga, as mentioned and instructed by the Lord himself, they attain the spiritual kingdom, and the spiritual kingdom of the Supreme Lord is called Param Dham. This material world is also Bhagwan's Dham, because everything that we see here is all created by the external energy of Sri Bhagavan, that is, by the Maya Shakti. The difference between this material world and the spiritual world is this, that this material world, which seems to be so beautiful, gets illumined only when the sun rises. Otherwise, it's all dark. And the sun is self-illumined. It does not need any other source to illumine it. Similarly, the entire spiritual world is self-illuminated. It does not need the light of the sun or the moon or electricity. This is the description of Sri Bhagavan's Param Dham or eternal abode. Srila Prabhupada says that why is Krishna telling us about his Param Dham? The reason is this, that he wants us to go back to his spiritual world from where no one comes back to this temporary material world. But to attain his Param Dham, one needs to be qualified. And that qualification is specified by Krishna himself in today's verse. Krishna says that one who becomes mat chittah, mat parah, mat sanstham, he is the person who is perfect in understanding of the Lord Krishna, and he can attain real peace and can ultimately reach to his supreme abode, the Krishna Lok, known as Golok Vrindavan Dham. Now let us understand the meaning of Mat Chittah, Mat Parah and Mat Sanstha. Mat Chittah means one who does not think about any material problems like from where will I get money, what will happen to me, my family, my people, my society, my country. His mind is full-time involved in the thoughts of Krishna. So he does not think about any useless things. He only thinks of Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is everyone's permanent father and mother. And he knows that Krishna has himself said, Mamev Ansh Jeev Lok Sarva Bhoot Sanatan, which means that every living being, every living entity is Krishna's child. And why should anyone else worry for themselves? Because Krishna is everyone's permanent father and mother. We are all Sanatan, which means eternal. We are the children of Krishna. The way Krishna is eternal, so are we. Then further, Krishna is the controller of everyone. And in everyone comes all the planets and all the demigods as well. So when we say that Krishna is the controller of everyone, then in everyone comes all the planets, all the demigods. And then further, Krishna is everyone's well-wisher. And a person who has this knowledge is called Mat Chittah, Mat Parah, means whose all the actions are only for the happiness of Krishna. So the meaning of Mat Chittah means a person who has complete knowledge of Krishna, and he knows that Krishna is the permanent parent of everyone, controller of everyone, and the well-wisher of everyone. And Mat Parah means who does all his actions only and only for the happiness of Krishna. And when a person becomes Mat Chittah and Mat Parah, then he is sure to attain Mat Sanstham, which means he surely attains peace, and after leaving this material world, he enters to the spiritual world from where he never comes back to this temporary material world. Srila Prabhupada says that in the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated, Golok ev nivasati akhil atma bhutah. It means that the Lord, although residing always in his abode called Golok, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well, by dint of his superior spiritual energies. So it means that Supreme Lord is Nandanandan, who is always residing in Golok Vrindavan Dham, and then the all-pervading Brahman, that is the Brahma effulgence, and then the localized Paramatma, who is in every living being's heart in the Vishnu form. Prabhupada says that no one can reach the spiritual world or enter into the eternal abode, that is the Vaikuntha Lok Vrindavan, of the Lord without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi, because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai Manaha Krishna Padar Vindayo. Prabhupada says that in the Vedas also we learn Tam Ev Vidit Atma Mrityu Eti, that one can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So easily it is given that one can overcome the path of birth and death, which means coming out of the endless cycle of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as knowing Krishna to be the Supreme, knowing Him as Nandanandan and Yashodanandan, who eternally resides in Golok, Vrindavan, Dham, and then the same Krishna is residing in Vishnu form in every living entity's heart. And the effulgence, the divine effulgence of Krishna is the Brahma Jyoti, which popularly is known as Nirakar Brahma or the featureless Brahma. Prabhupada says that, in other words, the perfection of a yogi, the perfection of yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Now, Prabhupada, in his concluding lines, he is telling us that the perfection of yoga system is of attaining freedom from material existence. That means freedom from endless birth and death. This is the main aim, this is the destination of the yoga system, and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool the innocent. Now we clearly know that what is the main purpose of the yoga system. To sum up today's verse, the most important lesson that we have learnt in this, that how a person can enter the spiritual abode. There are two ways to enter. One is by Dhyan Yoga, which we have studied the entire process from verse number 10 to verse number 14. And we must have surely realized that it is not at all practically possible to be going all alone to a forest and meditating, sitting on a deer skin, and by following the strict rules of celibacy by thought, words and actions, and by becoming completely fearless. Dhyan Yoga process is very tough to be done by anyone in Kali Yuga. This is the process which was practiced in Satyuga. And the second path that is explained by Srila Prabhupada is the path of Bhakti Yoga, in which one has to just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds every day and eat Krishna Prasadam, listen to Krishna Katha, glorify Krishna and Krishna devotees, and of course follow the prohibition rules of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling and no illegal relationship. And just by following these instructions of Bhakti Yoga, one gradually becomes Krishna conscious and definitely attains the spiritual abode or Golok Vrindavan Dham. Srila Prabhupada says that a Krishna conscious person is a real yogi because he does not see anything other than Krishna. He does not speak anything other than glorifying Krishna and his pure devotees. He does not accept anything which is not offered to Krishna. This person is a real yogi, for he is always connected with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is cautioning all of us for the so-called yoga centers, which we find today in almost every cities. And why Prabhupada is cautioning us? Because in these yoga centers, in the name of yoga, some gymnastic exercises are taught in the name of yoga, which gives some physical fitness definitely, or maybe cure some diseases. But this is certainly not the real purpose of the yoga system, which has been explained to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself to us. Srila Prabhupada says that the real purpose of the yoga is to reach to the spiritual world by ending the endless cycle of birth and death. And this aim is neither known or practiced in the so-called yoga centers. This is why Prabhupada says that these yoga centers are the places for cheating the innocent people in the name of yoga. Prabhupada says that people are ignorant and this is why they are getting cheated. So ultimately, it's a cheated society. But we, the students of Bhagwat Gita, we are truly blessed that we are getting the real knowledge from our bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara. Now we know the real essence of yoga process, how to follow it, and what is the outcome of it, what is the real result of it. I thank Srila Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Harimohan Das Prabhuji, for explaining it to us the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in as it is form. I thank you for taking out your most valuable, precious time and listening to the words of Krishna in such attentive manner. Please do write your realizations in the comment section, and just in case you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to ask your questions. I shall definitely try to answer your questions by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Now we shall meet the next week with the next shlok. Till then, keep chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and be happy. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai. Just a small request, please do not forget to share the videos with your near and dear ones, as this is the only way that we can do good to everyone. Hare Krishna.